Hello students, welcome back to another session for my distance learning classes. In today's class, we are going to be starting with a new topic that is specially for grade 11 and higher classes. This is a topic which is part of calculus. So today we are going to be having an introduction to chain rule for differentiation. Now this is a very long topic, so we are going to be doing it in parts. In the session today, we are going to be focusing on part 1 of the video where we get to know what is this chain rule and see some examples. So welcome to the session and let's begin. So before we proceed further with the session for today, a humble request from my side for all my viewers, for all my students, please like, share and subscribe to my channel Mathematics Made Easy to follow up with more videos on mathematics and different topics related to it. And I would also like to wish all my viewers, all my dear students, a very happy and prosperous Ramadan Mubarak from my side. So let's now begin with part 1 of the lesson. In this session, we are going to introduce to the chain rule. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a topic which is going to be beneficial for grade 11 and higher grades. So it's a topic of differentiation, and we are going to see in the session today how we are going to be using this chain rule to differentiate composite functions. So let's get started. So let's introduce ourselves to the learning objectives for today's class. Number 1, we are going to be recalling previous rules of differentiation that we have been using and that will be beneficial for today's session. Then we are going to be identifying composite functions, and further we are going to be understanding the chain rule to differentiate composite functions. Okay, so let's start with recalling some of the common derivative rules that we have done, which will be useful for this session as well. So the first one is the rule for deriving or finding the derivative of a constant function. So as you already know that the derivative of a constant function is 0, you should be remembering these rules so that when we are solving problems, we are able to apply these rules and get to our correct answer. The second rule that you see here is constant multiple of a power. So what happens here when you have a function which is constant times a given function? So because it is constant in the rule, so the constant has to be there, and it is also having a power, so the variable will be raised to some power. So generally you just do the power rule and keep the constant as it is. So when you are going to differentiate here, when you are going to differentiate fx equal to cx to the power n, the function is this one, then the derivative will be using power rule f prime of x, which is denoting here the derivative of the function fx. So f prime x, you all know, this is the derivative of fx, the first derivative we are talking about. So derivative of fx using this constant multiple of a power rule becomes c times n times x to the power n minus 1. So here we have applied power rule as well. Last but not the least, the rule is for sum or difference. So as the name suggests, this rule is going to be helping you to find the derivative when the function is either a sum of two functions. So you have fx equal to gx plus hx, or fx is difference of two functions. So fx is gx minus hx. In both the cases, you can easily apply the sum or the difference rule for finding the derivative. What you do here is exactly very similar to what you've been doing till now. That is, you take the first derivative and you do the derivative of the individual functions. So your f prime of x will be g prime of x plus minus h prime of x. So for each function you do the derivative, and depending whether it is sum function or difference function, you just do individual derivative and then add or subtract. So that sums up this slide on the derivative rules. Let's see some more rules in the slide to come. This is another important rule which I want you to recall now, students. This is your power rule, and again this power rule is valid when you have a variable like you have x and it is raised to some power. So if the power is n, for example, because we are just giving the general rule here, So the derivative d by dx of x to the power n would be n times x to the power n minus 1. So what happens is the power comes down, and in the variable the power gets reduced by 1. This is the way you are going to be remembering this formula and then using it wherever applicable. Now, before we go on to the next slide, let me just remind you that your first derivative or your derivative of a function can have different notations. There can be Leibniz notation, there can be Lagrange's notation. So accordingly, don't get confused. If you have d by dx or if you have f prime of x, which is being asked in the question, both of them mean the same thing. You just have to give the first derivative. So that is one important point that I would like to highlight. Let's move on to the next slide now. Again, now I would want you to recall and remember another very important rule of differentiation, which is called question rule. And as the name suggests, this rule is going to be applied, is going to be applicable in a derivative question when you have division or you have the question given in the question. So if you have, for example, a function which is of the form fx divided by gx, which has a numerator, which has a denominator. So you have the division happening here of the two functions, or you are taking the quotient. So in such a case, when f and g are differentiable at a given point x, and the important point here, yes, this is an important point that I would like to highlight, that the denominator cannot be 0. Okay, so just focus on this part and then you can apply your question rule. What will happen is when you take d by dx of fx divided by gx, that is going to be equal to the denominator function, which is gx whole square. So as it is, you just keep gx in the denominator, and in the numerator you have a function. Now what is this function and how are you going to be remembering this? So what you are going to be doing, you take the first function, the numerator fx, and take its derivative f prime x, and you keep the second function as it is. So you are taking the derivative in the numerator but one by one. Okay, and remember, when it is question rule, the numerator has a negative sign in between. So finally, the way to remember is d by dx of fx divided by gx is equal to the division of gx whole square in the denominator f prime x, that is the first derivative of the numerator, multiplied with gx, that is as it is, subtracted with fx, the first function as it is, and the derivative of gx, that is g prime x. So I hope you are going to memorize it with this trick, and let's then move on to the next slide. Again, now I would want you to recall a very easy derivative rule that is applicable for exponential function. And as you know that exponential function is a very important function and very easy function to work with. So when you take the derivative of an exponential function, and in this slide as you see, the exponential function has base a, yeah, and power x. So d by dx a to the power x is going to be ax log a. Now here this is not the usual log, this is the natural log that we are taking ln. So that is what you need to be careful of. Okay, you will see in questions to come how we are going to be applying all of these rules. Right now I just want you to recall and remember them so that we can be using them for the problems to come. Last but not the least, this is another slide which gives you the derivatives of exponential and logarithmic function. So let's summarize this part as well. And as I told you that exponential and logarithmic functions are quite important, out of which the exponential function, specifically e to the power x, is just like a magical function. Whatever you do with it, it is not going to be changing. So when you take d by dx of e to the power x, easy trick to remember is that it is going to be the same function. Nothing happens, nothing changes in e to the power x, and its derivative is the same function. Finally, with log x, where we have the natural log ln x, your derivative is going to be just the reciprocal. You take 1 over the function x which is mentioned. So if it is log x square, you take 1 over x square, and then later you will see in the slides to come, you do something with the x square also to take its derivative. So for now, you should remember that exponential and logarithmic functions can be differentiated using this. Now, before we move on to the main part of today's session, that is going to be focusing on composite functions, I would want you to show this last slide, which I want you to recall and again remember and learn, so that you can use these 6 trigonometric functions and their derivatives directly when you are trying to solve a question. Now, here I would like to give you one quick tip or a trick, in fact, to remember these derivatives so that it becomes easy for you to use them directly without making any mistake. So we all know that sine and cos, these are complementary functions. So d by dx, the derivative of sine x is always going to be cos x. The derivative of cos x is going to be its complement, sine x. Now all of these 6 trigonometric ratios, there are 3 of them which begins with c. That is your cos x, your cot x, and your cosecant x. So for these 3, remember their derivative is always going to be having a negative sign. So d by dx of cos x is negative sine x, d by dx of cot x is negative cosecant x, and d by dx of cosecant x is going to be negative cosecant x cot x. Whereas the other 3 trigonometric ratios, sine, tan, and secant, are going to be having positive signs. So this observation or this trick would help you to remember their correct derivatives. That is one point. And second point, again, you have sine and cos, as I told you, complementary, so they are derivatives of each other with just a change of a sign, negative. And then coming similarly to your other 2 functions, which are tan and cot, we all know that they are also complementary functions. So the derivative of tan x is secant x, and the derivative of its complement, that is cot x, is negative cosecant x. So that is another way, and you notice a pattern here. If there is sine here, there is cos here. If there is cosecant here, there is secant square here. And if there is secant x tan x here, then negative cosecant x cot x here. So this pattern, I'm sure, is going to help you to learn these trigonometric derivatives. And again, as you see, for secant and cosecant, which are complementary to each other, if secant x derivative is secant x tan x, then derivative of cosecant x is negative cosecant x cot x. So please, I urge you to learn these 6 trigonometric derivatives so that we can be using them directly for our questions. Let's move on now with the next slide. Okay, students, so now that we have recalled all the rules of differentiation that we have been doing before, let's now come to what are composite functions. And I would want you to recall here whatever you remember about these functions. Now, these functions are quite special in the sense, as you see on the screen, I will read out the definition for you. A composite function is created when one function is substituted into another function. So basically, a composite function is made up of 2 functions. As you would see in this example, I've taken here fx as 3x plus 2 and gx as x plus 5. Now what we are going to be doing is, if we take one function, for example, I take gx and I substitute this function inside fx. Okay, so fx here becomes my outside function and gx becomes my inside function. So what is going to happen when we do so? So in that case, we are calculating f of gx. So wherever there is x in this function fx, I'm going to be substituting in place of x the gx function. So let's do that. So f of gx is going to be f of x plus 5. Now f of x plus 5, to evaluate this value, we need to go to the definition of the function fx. And wherever there is x, I'm going to be replacing that with x plus 5. Okay, so what we are going to be getting? 3 times x plus 5 plus 2, that is what we are going to get. And we can always simplify this function by using distributive properties. So 3 will distribute over x and over 5 to give you 3x plus 15 plus 2, which is eventually going to give you 3x plus 17. So this is how you evaluate f of gx. Remember what we have done here? We have put inside fx the function gx. So gx is the inner function, fx is the outer function. Let's try and do the opposite and see if the results are same or not. So when we find g of fx, so now what we are doing? Inside we are putting the function fx and outside is the function gx. So we substitute the value of fx, that is 3x plus 2, and now we go to the definition of the function gx, and here wherever there is x we are going to be replacing with 3x plus 2. Let's simplify this expression as well, and in this case it comes out to be 3x plus 7. So I hope you can clearly make out here that these two values are different. So f of gx is not equal to g of fx. So these are different functions, and in both of them, as you can see the difference using the steps that we have simplified, that the inner and the outer function are different. So this is all about a quick review of composite functions and how we calculate them. Let's get on and know more about them in the next slide. Okay, so in this slide now, I have gone in more detail for composite functions so that you can recall and remember. Also, I'm here in this slide reviewing you the notation of a composite function. How do you write or how do you represent a composite function? So we had done in the last slide, if you see, something like this, f of gx. So we had substituted inside the function gx and outside was the function fx. So here this is inside function, this is outside function. Now this can be represented, this can be written using the composite function notation like this, f of gx. The way you read it is f composition gx. Okay, it means that we are copying the function f down, but wherever you see x, we are just substituting in place of that x the function gx. Okay, so for an example, if your fx is defined as this one, 2x square plus 3, and your gx is defined as 4x cubed plus 1, and we need to compute the composite function f of g of x, then inside we are going to substitute gx, outside it is fx. So in this function fx, instead of x, we are substituting 4x cubed plus 1, that is my gx. Again, you just simplify it, open this square, distribute, and then multiply. So you're going to be simplifying it and getting your final answer as this. So this is an example just to quickly recall your memory about composite function and its example. Now we'll go a step further and we will try and identify the inner and outer functions for a given composite function. Now we are moving closer to the chain rule. So as I told you in the beginning of the session, we are going to be focusing on chain rule, and that will be used while we are finding the derivatives of a composite function. So let's move now and understand about inner and outer function. So definitely these are going to work when we are having a given composite function. So for example, you have fx as equal to g times hx. So very easily you can make out that the inside function which is substituted here is hx, which is 3x minus 1 in this example, the inner function, and the outer function is your g of x, which is raised to the power 4. So this is how you take the inner and outer function. On the right side of the slide, you again see a function. So can I say that the outer function, if I say fx is nothing but square root of x and g of x is nothing but x square minus 3. Is that okay? If you see the inner function, the inside function is x square minus 3, which is substituted, and the outside function is nothing but the square root of function, and you can check your answer. Try and find the composite function f o g of x and see whether it is going to be the same function. If yes, that means we have done the correct thing. So f of gx, so means wherever there is x, I substitute x square minus 3, and yes, definitely that is the given function. So this is fx, which is your outer function, and this is gx, which is your inner function. I hope with this example it is quite clear to you how to write and how to identify the inner and outer parts or the functions of a given composite function. Okay, so what answer did you get? I'm sure that you all have got the same answer. that the inner function here is 2x plus 1 and the outer function here is to the power w. So your ux inner function is going to be 2x plus 1 by definition of composite function, and your outer function, which is w, is going to be x to the power 4. So which option do you feel is correct? A, B or C? Definitely it's the composite function, so C cannot be our answer. We can remove this option. So the correct answer out of A and B, I'm sure now it is very clear to you, is B. So that completes the answer. This is how you need to think about solving a multiple choice question based on composite function. Okay, students, so finally now we are on the chain rule. Let's use this rule to differentiate composite functions. I'm quite confident now that you know about your inner and outer parts or inner and outer function related to a composite function. So let me read out the chain rule for you, and then in the slides to come, we will also see some examples on how it is to be applied to solve questions. If f and g are both differentiable functions, so I'm talking about small f and small g functions, which are highlighted on the screen for you with blue and mustard shade. And capital Fx is the composite function which is defined by f of gx, then f is differentiable and the derivative of the capital function f or f prime, which is the derivative of the composite function, is given by the product f prime of gx multiplied with g prime of x. So now let's see this rule and understand it more. So the rule says that if you have a composite function, capital F of x, which is the composite function made up of two other functions, small f and small g, then it is differentiable function, provided the two functions which it is made up of are differentiable. That's an important condition. Only then it is going to be differentiable, and then the derivative you can find using the chain rule, which is given by this product. Now, how are you going to remember this formula? How you are going to remember the chain rule? So the trick is, first you are going to be differentiating the outer function. So you take f prime of g of x, and because it is composite, so inside the substitution will remain as gx. Just remember that. And then multiply that with the differentiation of the inner function g prime x. So that is how you are going to remember your chain rule or chain formula. I will repeat the formula for you very quickly. F prime of x is going to be f prime of gx multiplied with g prime of x. So that's the chain rule. Finally, we are on it, and let's see now examples on this rule. Okay, so this is the first example that I have taken here, where you are going to see how the chain rule can be applied to differentiate the composite function. So on the screen, you can see the question: differentiate y equal to x to the power 3 plus x minus 1 to the power 5. And once you see this function, I'm sure each one of you can clearly make out that this function is made up of two functions, the inner and outer. So the inner function is the inside function, which is taken as u here equal to x cube plus x minus 1, and the outside function is the function to the power 5. So we have taken it as y equal to u to the power 5. Very clearly you can see it's a composite function. So let's use chain rule and find its derivative. So in this question we have to find the derivative of y. So dy by dx, this is another way of writing the derivative, is equal to dy by du multiplied with du by dx. So you are going to first differentiate the outside function dy over du, and then the inside function du with dx. So let's substitute. Y is nothing but u to the power 5 here, and when you differentiate this, I hope you remember, because it is u to the power 5, a variable raised to some power, you are going to be using power rule for that derivative. So power rule tells you what? d by du of u to the power 5. So the power comes down and it reduces by 1. So 5 u to the power 4 d by dx of u. So you just substitute the value of the variable u and then differentiate it with respect to x to get the final answer. And remember, we did not start in the question with variable u. In the question, it was given with variable x. So in the last step, once you reach to your final answer, wherever there is u, you are going to replace it with x cube plus x minus 1 to the power 4. So that completes your solution. I'm sure this has been quite clear for you. Let's move on and take some more examples. Okay, so I'll be taking another example now where we are going to apply the chain rule to get the derivative of the composite function. So the function which is given to you here is again very similar. I'm going to be explaining this now. And while I'm explaining it, I want you to take a few seconds and try and identify the inner and outer function in this composite function. So the function which is given to you, f of x, is 3x plus 1 whole to the power 5. So definitely you see a power. So an indirect hint I would give you that power rule will be used somewhere. And that's why, if you remember, in the beginning of the session, we recalled all the rules so that when we get a question here on chain rule, we are able to use those rules to solve the problems. Okay, so the inside function, I'm sure you're able to see, is 3x plus 1, and the outside function is the power function, which is raised to the power 5. So let's take the derivative of this composite function. And as the chain rule states, you are going to first take the derivative of the outside function. So the outside function is to the power 5. So you do the power rule, 5 comes down, and the power in 3x plus 1 reduces by 1. So you get to the power 4. And now you multiply it with the derivative of the inside function, which is 3x plus 1. And you all know that the derivative, let me write here, d by dx of 3x plus 1. So we can apply the sum rule here. It's the sum of two functions, 3x plus 1. So the derivative is going to be the sum of the individual derivatives. So d by dx of 1. And if you remember the first or second rule, it said that you have the derivative of a constant as 0. So this goes plus 0, and for the derivative of 3x, it is going to be the constant only. So you have the final derivative of this whole expression as 3. And that's why you have 5 multiplied with 3 multiplied with 3x plus 1 to the power 4. So this gives you the final thing. And I'm quite sure that how we are going to apply the chain rule is now clear to all of you. Okay, so it's time to test how much you have understood now. So we are going to be testing that with the help of this multiple choice question. You are given a function hx, which is definitely a composite function with an inner and outer that you can clearly identify now. I want you to define h prime of x, and there are 4 options with you, A, B, C, D. So take a few seconds, pause the video, and then we are going to be checking your answer. Try and identify the inner function and the outer function, and then definitely go for chain rule while solving for the derivatives. So this is your inner function, this is your outer function. Again, very similar. You are going to be getting help using power rule. So let's do the h prime of x. This is the derivative, so it is 5 times 5 minus 6x, and using power rule, the power reduces by 1, so it becomes 4 from 5, and then d by dx of the inside function, which is 5 minus 6x. So what are you going to get? Let's see. 5 times 5 minus 6x to the power 4 is not going to change, but when we take the derivative here, you are going to be getting only negative 6. So I'm sure by now you can make out the option which is the correct answer. So A, B, C, D. I'm sure you all have got C as the correct answer. This is the way you should be solving a question on chain rule, a question where you have to find the derivative of a composite function and you have 4 options. Just pick up the correct option. I'm going to be now taking up another multiple choice question. This is going to be very, very helpful for you when you are having a exam question. So this is a question for your practice. Again, a multiple choice. You are given a function f, which is defined as fx equal to sine times hx. So clearly you can see here that h is given to be differentiable. It's the inside function and the outside function is sine. So being a composite function, you're going to go for chain rule. Try and solve it again. Take a few seconds. Pause the video if you want to, and then you can check your answer. So I'm going to be highlighting here the inner function if and the outer function sine of this. So hint is use chain rule because it's a composite function. So let's do the derivative now. So first you take derivative of sine of hx. So again, this will help you from the beginning of the slides where we had recalled the trigonometric rules. So if you would have paid attention that time and if you have learned your trigonometric derivatives, then this will be pretty easy for you. So the derivative of sine is cos. So cos of hx multiplied with the derivative of the inside function. So h prime of x. So which is your correct answer? A, B, C or D? I'm sure you all will agree with C here. C is the correct answer for this important question. So I'm sure today's session was well helpful and beneficial for all of you. Let me summarize the class with this slide. So in the class today, first we began with revising, recalling the important rules for differentiation like the constant rule, the power rule, the product rule and the question rule, which are very clearly summarized here. You may use this sheet as a formula sheet. Just try and remember these 5 important formulas. They are going to be really, really helpful for you for solving any question that comes on differentiation correctly. And then finally, from the rules, we went to identifying composite function, finding the inner and outer parts of a given composite function, and then we moved on to differentiating that composite function using the chain rule. So this is a summary of today's session. Please use it as a formula sheet and learn all these important formulas. So with that, we have come to the end of today's session. I would urge you to revise today's class and whatever topics we have done today. Also, before we meet for the next session, that will again be on chain rule. We will take up more questions, little complicated than what we have covered today. And please don't forget a humble request to like, share and subscribe to my mathematics channel, which is Mathematics Made Easy, for getting more math videos. Thank you so much, all my viewers and students, for joining me in this session, and looking forward to meeting you soon in my next video on chain rule. Bye students.